Street. Way back there is a railway station and tracks go down that way. Across the tracks, Polish Town and some Canuck families. Over there is the Congregational Church. Across the street is Presbyterian. Unitarian and Methodist are over there. Baptist is in the hall down by the river. The Catholic is across the tracks. Over there is the town hall and post office combined. Jail's in the basement. You know, Jennings Bryant once made a speech from those very steps there. Here's Mrs. Morgan's drugstore, and over there's the grocery store. Most everyone in town manages to see the inside of those two stores at least once a day. Along there's a row of stores, hitching posts and horse blocks in front of them. The first car is going to come along in about 5 years, belonging to Baker Cartwright, our richest citizen. Lives in that big white house up on the hill there. This here is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. Here's the back door. There's some scenery for those of you who think there need to be scenery. And over there is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhock, heliotrope, and a whole lot of burdock. In those days, our paper come out twice a week, the Grover's Corner Sentinel. And this here is Editor Webb's house. And over there is Mrs. Webb's garden, just like Mrs. Gibbs, only it's got a lot of sunflowers too. And right over there is a big butternut tree. Nice town, you know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable ever come out of it as far as we know. The earliest tombstones over there in that cemetery say 1670 to 1680. They're Grovers and Cartwrights and Gibbses and Herseys. Same names as are around here now. Well, as I said, it's about dawn. If you look over there, you'll begin to see Doc Gibbs coming down Main Street, just coming back from that baby case. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. The new hospital's named after him. Mrs. Gibbs died first, though, a long time ago, in fact. She was out visiting her daughter in Canton, Ohio, where she married an insurance man, and she died there. Pneumonia. But her body was brought back here. She's over there in that cemetery there now. It's a whole mess of Gibbses and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey before she married Doc Gibbs in the Congregational Church over there. In our town, we like to know the facts about everybody. Well, as I said, it's about dawn. The only lights on in town are across the tracks where Polish mothers just had twins, and in the Joe Crowell house where Joe Jr. is getting ready so as to deliver the paper, and in the depot where Shorty Hawkins is getting ready to fly the 545 to Boston. Now, naturally, out in the country all around, there have been lights on for some time with the Milkins and so. The town people, we like to sleep late. And so, another day's begun. Here you can see Mrs. Webb coming down to get her breakfast, too. Doc Gibbs got that baby call at 1:30 this morning, and if you look over there, you can see Joe Crowell Jr. coming to deliver Mr. Webb's Sentinel. I guess Joe must be running a little late this evening. Well, I want to tell you something about him regardless. You see, Joe was awful bright, so he graduated from our high school here, head of his class. So he got a scholarship from Massachusetts Tech, graduated head of his class there too. It was all wrote up in the Boston papers. Going to be a great engineer, Joe was. But the war broke out and he died in France. All that education for nothing.
Whoa, that's come on.
Here comes Howie Newsom, delivering the milk.
Come on.
Hey, Howie.
Morning, Doc. Somebody sick?
No, it's just a pair of twins over Miss Gorlowski's.
Twins, eh? This town's getting bigger every year.
Hey, you think it's gonna rain, Howie?
No. Fine day. That'll run through. Come on, Miss.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she, Howie?
Going on 17. Bessie's all mixed up about the roof ever since the Lockhart stopped taking their court every day. She wants to leave McCourt just the same. Keeps scolding me the whole trip.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. Doc's just coming down the street.
Izzy, seems like you're late today.
Yes, something went wrong with the separator. Don't know what 'twas. Doc.
Howie.
Children, time to get up.
Come on, Miss.
George, Rebecca. Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy as kittens.
Bacon will be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple of hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Can't say that I can. Miss Wentworth's coming at 11, and I guess I know it's about 2. You know, her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
All told, Frank, you won't get more than 3 hours of sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I do wish I could you two go away someplace and take a rest. I think it would do you good. Children, Emily, it's time for breakfast. I declare, you gotta speak to George. It seems like Sonny's come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to cut me some wood.
No, is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George, Rebecca.
George, look sharp.
Yes, Ma.
George, don't you hear your mother calling you? I guess I'll go upstairs and get 40 winks.
Emily, it's time for breakfast. You're gonna be late for school. Ma, what dress Your father's been out all night and needs to sleep. Let me think. I washed and ironed your blue gay camp for you special.
Mom, I hate that dress.
Hush up with you.
Every day I go to school looking like a sick turkey.
Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Emily, now I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I won't have you gobbling it down like a wolf. But that's along with my other rule, no books at the table. As for me, I'd rather have my children healthy than bright.
But Mama, I'm both. You know I am. I'm the brightest school in school for my age, and I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'll talk to your father about it when he's rested. Seems to me 25 cents a week's enough for a boy your age. I declare, I don't know how you spend it all.
Oh, Mom, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphate, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes out so much money. She got more to go. I can take a graduate.
Well, dear, I think it's a good thing to spend some every now and then.
Mom, do you know what I love most in the world? Do you?
Money. Oh, your breakfast.
Oh, Mom, there's more stuff. Gotta go.
Walk fast, but you don't have to run. Stand up straight, Emily.
Thomas Foster, I sent my best congratulations. Can you remember that?
Yes, Mom.
You look very nice, Rebecca. Put your feet. Bye! Here, chick, chick, chick. Go away, go away. Here, chick, chick, chick. What's the matter with you? Fight, fight, fight. That's all you do. You don't belong to me. Where'd you come from? Oh, don't worry. Nobody's gonna hurt you. Oh, good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
I've still got that little tickling feeling in my throat. I told Charles I didn't know as I'd go to choir practice tonight. Wouldn't be any use.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I can't do that and still stay on the key. While I'm resting myself, I decided to string up some of these beans.
Let me help you. Beans will be good this year.
I've decided to put up 40 quarts if it kills me. The children say they hate them, but I notice we're able to get them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've got to tell you something. Because if I don't tell somebody, I'm going to burst.
Why, Julia Gibbs.
Give me some more of those beans.
Well?
Oh. Myrtle, did one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston come to see you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. First I thought he was a patient who went to see Dr. Gibbs, and he wormed his way into my parlor.
Into your parlor?
Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandmother Wentworth's highboy. As I'm sitting here.
That old piano by Julia Gibbs.
He did. That old thing. Why, it's so big I didn't know where to put it. I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wincox.
Well, you're going to take it, aren't you?
I don't know.
You don't know. It's $350. What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and go away someplace on a real trip, I'd settle like that. You know, Myrtle, it's been a dream of mine to go see Paris, France. I don't know, it sounds crazy, I suppose. But for years I've been promising myself that if I ever had the chance,
Well, how does the doctor feel about it?
well, I beat around the bush a little and said that if I ever had the legacy, that's the way I put it, I make him take me somewhere.
What did he say?
You know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word come out of him since I've known him. No, he said it'll make him discontent with growers' harness to go tracing about Europe. Better let well enough alone, he says. Every 2 years he makes a trip to the battlefields of the Civil War, and that's good enough treat for anybody.
Well, I know Mr. Webb just admires the way that Dr. Gibbs knows all there is to know about the Civil War. In fact, Mr. Webb's of good mind to give up Napoleon and move over to the Civil War, only Dr. Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
In fact, Dr. Gibbs is never so happy as when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. The times I've walked over those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every bush, piecing it all out like we're going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man's really serious about buying it, Julia, then you sell it. Then you'll get to see Paris, all right? Just keep dropping hints from time to time. So I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
I'm sorry I mentioned it. Only it seemed to me that once you life before you die, you want to see a country where they don't speak English, and they don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. That'll be all for right now. Now, we're going to have a little more information about the town, so I've asked Professor Willard of our state university to come and sketch in a few details of our past history. Is Professor Willard here? Oh, there he is. No, he takes his little podium mobile all across Main Street these days. Beginning to become something of a public menace. Are you all situated, Professor Willard?
I swear this podium mobile is one of the most deadly things I've ever built.
Yes,
So,
whenever you're ready.
where was I? Ah, yes. Grover's Corners. Let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that. Shelves of Devonian basalt, crosses with vestiges of Mesozoic shale and some sandstone outcroppings, but that's all more recent. 200, 300 million years old.
Professor, this is still a Christian school. You're going to have to wait at least another year before you talk about things like that.
Some highly interesting fossils have been found. I may say unique fossils. 2 miles out of town in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. They can be seen at the museum at our university at any time. I may say any reasonable time, of course. Anyways, shall I read you Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we don't have time for that, Professor. We might have a few words on the history of man here.
Ah, yes. Anthropological data. Early Amerindian stock, Cotahatchee tribes, but no evidence in the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared. Possible traces in 3 families. Since then, migration since the 17th century of mostly English brachiocephalic blue-eyed stock, for the most part. Since then, some Slav and Mediterranean.
And the population, Professor.
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Just a minute.
Twins! Oh, fantastic. The population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Mortality and birth rates, constant. By McPherson's gauge, 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor. We're all very much obliged, I'm sure. Now for the political and social report. Editor Webb. Oh, Mr. Webb.
He'll be here in a minute. He just cut his hand while he was eating an apple.
Oh, good heavens. Well, thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles, everybody's waiting!
Mr. Webb is editor and publisher of our Grover's Corner Sentinel. That's our local paper, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All men vote at the age of 21, women vote indirect. We're lower middle class, sprinkling in professional, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we are 85% Republican, 4% Democrat, 6% Socialist, rest indifferent. Religiously, we are 85% Protestant, 10% Catholic, rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
Pretty ordinary town, if you ask me. A lot better behaved than most, and probably a lot duller. But the children seem to like it well enough. Most of them come back to settle down, even after they've been away to college.
Now, is there anyone in our audience who has any questions for Mr. Webb?
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corner?
Well, sir, I don't know what you'd call much. Saturday nights, the farmhands go down to Ellery Greenhouse Stables and holler some. We got a few town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, sir, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing around Grover's Corners, except for in the medicine cabinet. It's right good for a snake bite, you know. Always was.
Anyone else?
Hey, is there much culture or perhaps beauty in this town of yours?
Well, sir, there ain't much. Not in the sense you mean, at least. Come to think of it, there's a few girls who play piano at the high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. Well, I don't think we got a lot of culture, but this is the time to tell you that we got a lot of pleasures of a kind here. We like the sun coming up over the mountain in the morning. You'll notice a good deal about the birds. Pay a lot of attention to them. And we watch the change of the seasons. There isn't much culture, but those other things, you're right, sir, there ain't much. Like Robinson Crusoe and the Bible and Handel's Largo, we all know that, but like Whistler's Mother, that's just about as far as we go.
Anyone else?
Is no one aware of social injustice or inequality?
Yes, everybody is something terrible. Seems like they spend most of their time worrying about who's rich and who's poor.
Well, why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. It seems like we're always hunted for a way that the diligent and the sensible can rise to the top and the lazy and the quarrelsome can sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meanwhile, we do all that we can to help those that can't help themselves. And those that can't help themselves, we leave alone.
All right, thank you, Mr. Webb.
You're welcome.
All right, now we can get back to the town. It's just past noon. There's an early afternoon calm about our town. Humming in a buzzing from the schoolyards. The horses dozing off at their hitching posts. You all remember what that's like. Doc Gibbs in his office tapping people and making them say, ah. Mr. Webb over there cutting his lawn. You know, one man in 10 thinks it's a privilege to push his own lawnmower. No, sir, it's later than I thought. The children are coming home from their school already.
I can't lose. I've got to go home and help my mother. I promised.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Papa, you're terrible. One minute you call me names, the next minute you tell me stand up straight.
just don't listen to you.
Golly, never gotten a hug from such a great lady before.
Awfully sorry, Mrs. Forrest.
You go out and play in the field, young man. You got business playing baseball on Main Street. Ungrateful kids these days. Why I got to talk about.
Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class today.
Thank you. I was ready to make a speech about the Louisiana Purchase, but Miss Corcoran made me talk about the Monroe Doctrine instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I can see your head at night doing homework.
Can you?
Yeah, you sure do stick to it. I don't see how you can sit still that long. I guess you really like school.
I always feel like it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it really, it passes the time.
Yeah, what do you say, Emily? We might work out a kind of telegraph system from your one to mine? For homework purposes, of course. You could maybe give me a hint on some of those algebra problems. Not the answers, but maybe just a hint.
I think hints are allowed. So, you can start, George. You whistle me, I'll give you some hints.
You're just naturally bright, I guess, Emily.
I figured it's just the way the person's born.
Yeah, but you see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says whenever I'm ready, I can come and work in his farm. And if I'm any good, I can gradually have it.
You mean house and everything?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Emily. Thanks a lot.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb. Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Evelyn, come along and help me string up some of these beans. George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation, didn't he? Why, he's grown up. How old would George be?
I don't know.
Let's see. He must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech to class and I was very good.
You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about?
The Monroe Doctrine. It's like silk off of school. I'm gonna make speeches all my life, Mama. Are these big enough?
Try and get them a little bigger if you can.
Mama, can you answer me a question? Serious?
Seriously.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Can you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Of course you are. All my children have got good features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
Mom, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I've already told you. Yes. Now that's enough of that. You've got a nice, young, pretty face. I've never heard of such foolishness.
Mom, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, I was, if I do say it. I was the prettiest girl in town next to Mammy Cartwright.
But Mama, you gotta say something about me. Am I pretty enough? Is anybody interested in me?
Emily, I've already told you. Yes. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes. Come along now and bring that bowl with you.
Mama, you're no help at all.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Mrs. Webb. We'll have to interrupt again here. You see, there are some more things we wish to explore about the town. I suppose now is a good time to tell you that the Cartwrights have begun to build a bank in Grover's Corners. Crazy, I know. But they had to go to Vermont for the marble, sorry to say. But they've asked a friend of mine what they should put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. Of course, they put in a copy of the New York Times and of Mr. Webb's Sentinel. We're kind of interested in this because some scientific fellows have come up with a glue, a silicate glue, that'll make paper products keep 1,000, 2,000 years. So we're putting in a Bible and a Constitution of the United States and a copy of William Shakespeare's plays. What do you say, folks? What do you think? You know, Babylon was once a country with 2 million people in it. And all we know about them are the names of their kings and some wheat contracts and contracts for the sale of slaves. But every night, all those families went home to dinner. The fathers would come home from work. Smoke would go up from the chimneys. Same as here. And even in Greece and Rome, all we know about the real life of people is what we can piece together out of the joking poems and comedies they wrote for the theater back then. So I'm going to have a copy of this play put in the cornerstone so that people 1,000 years from now will know a few simple facts about us, more than the Treaty of Versailles or the Lindbergh flight, so that people 1,000 years from now will know this is how we were at the beginning of the 20th century, in our growing up, and in our marrying, and in our living, and in our dying. Well, a good deal of time passed by this evening. You can see choir practice beginning to start over there in the Congregational Church. The children are at home doing their schoolwork. The day is running down like a tired clock.
Now listen here, everybody. Music come into the world to give pleasure. Sing softer, sing softer. Get it out of your heads that music's only good when it's loud. Leave that to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them if you tried. Now again, tenors.
Is like to that of
Tuesday afternoon for Fred Hersey's wedding. Raise your hands. That'll be fine, that'll be right nice. We'll do the music we did for Jane Throwbridge's last month. Now we'll do Art Thou Languid, Art Thou Weary. It's a question, ladies and gentlemen. Make it talk. Ready?
George, can you come down a minute?
Yes, Pa.
Now make yourself comfortable, son. George, how old are you?
I'm 16, almost 17.
And what do you want to do after school's over?
Why, you know, Pa, I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
Oh, and you'll be willing, will you, to hoe and hay all day and to milk and feed the stock?
Yeah, how do you mean? What do you mean, Pa?
Well, George, today in my office I heard a funny sound. And guess what it was? It was your mother chopping wood. Now, I don't even know how she does it with those crutches and all. But she was, and I guess she just got tired of asking you. Now you eat her meals, you put on the clothes she keeps nice for you, and you run off and play baseball. Now, George, I don't think she appreciates that. And I know all I have to do is bring this to your attention, all right? Now, George, here's a handkerchief. George, I decided to raise your spending money 25 cents a week. Not, of course, because you shop wood for your mother, because that's a present you give her. Because you're getting older, and I figure you have better things to do.
Thanks, Pa.
Let's see. Tomorrow's your payday. We can definitely count on it. You know, Rebecca will probably want some more, too. Mother's never been out this late before.
It's only 8:30, Pa.
I don't even know why she's in that old choir. She doesn't any more voice than a little crow. Hey, so is it about you time you retire?
Yes, Pa.
Good night, Martha. Good night, Mr. Foster. I'll tell Mr. Webb. I know he'll want to put it in the paper.
My, it's late.
Oh, good night, Irma.
Real nice choir practice, wasn't it? Myrtle Webb, look at that move, will ya? Mm-hmm. Say to Wanda for sure. Naturally, I was going to say anything in front of the others, but now that we're alone.
Really, just as the worst scandal that ever was in this town.
What?
Well, Simon Stimson.
Now Luella.
But Julia, to have the organist of a church drink and drunk year after year. You know he was drunk today.
Now Luella, we all know about Mr. Simpson, and we all know about the troubles he's been through. And Dr. Ferguson knows too. And if Dr. Ferguson wants to keep him there on his job, the only thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it, but it's getting worse.
No way, Hazel Luella, it's getting better. I've been in that choir twice as long as you have, and it doesn't happen anywhere near so often. I hate to go to bed on a night like this, but those children will be up till all hours. Good night, Luella.
Can you get home safely, Luella?
Oh, it's bright as day outside. I can see Mr. Soames scowl out the window now. You'd think we'd been to a dance the way the men folk carry on.
Well, we had a real good time.
Well, you're late enough.
Why, Frank, you didn't later than usual?
You sitting out the corner and gossip with a lot of hens?
Now, Frank, don't be grouchy. Come out and smell the heliotrope from the moonlight. Isn't that wonderful? What did you do all that time while I was away?
Well, I read as usual. What will the girls gossip about tonight?
Well, believe me, Frank, there's something to gossip about.
Simon Simpson far gone now, was he?
Worst I've ever seen him. How will that end, Frank? Dr. Ferguson can't forgive him forever.
I guess I know more about Simon Simpson's affairs than anybody in this town. You know, some people ain't made for small town life. I sure don't know how that'll end. Come on, let's start heading inside.
No, not yet, Frank. I'm worried about you.
Worried about what?
Well, I think it's my duty to make plans for you to get a real rest and change. And if I get that legacy, I'm going to insist on it.
Now, there's no sense of going over that again.
Frank, you're just unreasonable.
Come on, let's start heading inside.
But what about the legacy?
I already told you I don't want to talk about that.
There's always so many things to discuss, seems like. You know, Frank, Miss Fairchild always locks the front door at night. All those people at that part of town do.
See, that's the trouble with them. They're all getting citified. They got nothing fit to burgle anyway.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only room for one at this window. You're always spoiling everything.
Let me look. Just a minute.
Use your own window.
I've tried, but there's no moon there. George, do you know what I think? Do you? I think the moon's getting near, and there'll be a big explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know anything. If the moon were getting near, the men who sit up on the hills all night with their telescopes would see it first, and they tell about it. It'd be all in the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining in Canada? South America?
Half of the world? Well, probably is.
9:30. Most of the lights are out. Now you can see Constable Warren coming down Main Street trying a few doors. And here comes Editor Webb after putting his paper to bed.
Good evening, Bill.
Evening, Mr. Webb.
Why the moon?
Yep.
Everything been all right tonight?
Yeah, saw Simon Stimson rolling around a little. And I saw his wife moving out to hunt for him, so I done looked the other way. Oh, there he is now.
Good evening, Simon. Kind of set it up pretty nice. Can I walk along the way?
I love you.
Can I walk along the ways with you? Good night.
I don't know how that's going to end, Mr. Webb. You should have seen him at choir practice.
They seem to pack of trouble, just one thing after another. Good night, Bill.
Good night, Mr. Webb.
Who's that there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, it's me, Papa.
What are you doing out of bed?
I don't know, I just can't sleep yet, Papa. Moonlight's so wonderful. Smell Miss Gibbs' heliotrope. Can't you smell it?
Have any troubles on your mind, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No.
All right, well, don't let your mother catch you. Good night, Emily.
Good night, Papa.
I never told you about the letter Jane Crowfoot got from her minister when she was sick. It was a letter, and on the envelope it was like this. It said, Jane Crowfoot, the Crowfoot Farms, Grover's Corners, Sutton County, New Hampshire, United States of America.
What's funny about that?
You didn't let me finish. United States of America, continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God.
What do you know?
And the postman delivered it just the same.
What do you know?
That's the end of the first act, friends. Now here goes the second. 3 years have gone by. The sun's come up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountain a little bit more, and rains have brought down some of the dirt. Some babies who weren't even born yet have begun talking in regular sentences already, and a number of people who thought they were right young and spry have found they can't bound up the stairs quite like they used to, without their heart fluttering a little. All that can happen in 1,000 days. Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways, too. A number of young people fell in love and got married. Yes, the mount got bit away a few fractions of an inch. Millions of gallons of water passed by the mill, and here and there a new house was set up under a roof. Most everyone in the world gets married, you know what I mean? In our town there aren't hardly any exceptions. Most everyone in the world climbs into their graves married. The first act was called Daily Life. This act is called Love and Marriage. There's another act coming, I reckon you can guess what that's about. So, it's 3 years later, 1904. It's July 7th, just after the high school commencement. That's the time most of our young people jump up and get married. Seems like as soon as they pass their examinations and Cicero's orations and solid geometry, they feel themselves fit to be married. Well, it's early morning now, only this time it's been raining. It's been thundering and pouring. Mrs. Gibbs' garden and Mrs. Webb's there, drenched. All those bean poles and pea vines, drenched. Over there in Main Street, it looked like curtains being blown along. They begin again any moment. There, you can hear the 545 to Boston. And here's Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Webb come down to make their breakfast. Now, I don't have to point out to the women of my audience that both of these ladies cook 3 meals a day. One of them for 20 years, the other for 40. Wash, clean the house, raise 2 children apiece, and never a nervous breakdown. It's like one of those Middle West poets said, you've got to love life to have life, and you've got to have life to love it. That's what they call the vicious circle. Whoa, this, come on. Here comes Howie Newsom again, delivering the milk. Listen, here's Cy Crowell delivering the paper just as his brother reported.
Daily paper! Daily paper! Morning, Howie!
Morning, Cy. Anything in the papers I have now?
Nothing much, except we're losing about the best baseball pitcher Grover's Corners ever had, George Gibbs.
I reckon he is.
He could hit and run bases, too.
Yeah, mighty fine ball player. Listen, I can stop and talk about the mind.
I don't see how you could give up such a thing like that just to get married. Would you, Howie?
Can't tell, Cy. Never had no talent that way. You're up early, Bill.
Yeah, seeing if there's anything I can do to prevent a flood. The river's been rising all night.
Cy Crowell's all worked up here about George Gibbs retiring from baseball.
Yes, sir. That's the way it goes. Back in '84, we had a player side named Hank Todd. Not even George Gibbs could touch him. Went down to Maine and became a parson. Wonderful ball player. So what's the weather look like to you, Howie?
Well, it rained so heavy last night, I think maybe it'll clear up. Come on, Missy. Morning, Mrs. Webb.
Good morning, Mr. Newsom. I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes, and the 2 of cream.
Will it start raining again, Mr. Newsom?
Well, just saying Constable Warren is how it may lighten up. Mrs. Newsom told me to tell you we hope they'll both be very happy together, Mrs. Webb. You know they will.
Thank you, and thank Mrs. Newsom. We're counting on seeing you at the wedding.
Yes, we'll be there. Couldn't miss that.
Good morning, Howie. Do you think it's going to rain again?
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. It rained so heavy, I think maybe it'll clear up.
Certainly hope it will.
How much did you want today?
I'm going to have a house full of relations, Howie. Looks to me like I'm going to need 3 milk to a cream.
My wife says to tell you we hope they'll both be very happy together, Mrs. Gibbs. We know they will.
Thanks a lot, Howie. Tell your wife I said I hope she gets there to the wedding.
Yes, she'll be there. She'll be there if she can.
Well, Mom, the day has come. Who's wanting the chicks?
Frank Gibbs, don't you say another word. Sit down and drink your coffee.
You know, the groom's up shaving himself. Only there ain't an awful lot to shave. He's whistling and singing like he's glad to leave us. Once in a while he says that in here. Don't sound too convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how they're going to get along. I've arranged his clothes and seen to it that he puts more things on. Frank, they're too young. Emily won't think of such things. He'll catch his death of cold within a week.
Oh, I was just remembering my wedding morning, Julia.
Don't start that, Frank Gibbs.
No, I was the scariest young fella in the state of New Hampshire. I thought I'd make a mistake for sure. When I saw you come down that aisle, I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. The only trouble was that I'd never seen you before. There I was in a congregational church, marrying a total stranger.
And how do you think I felt, Frank? Weddings are a perfectly awful thing. Farces, that's what they are. Here, make you something.
Well, Julia Gibbs, French toast.
It ain't hard to make it. I had to do something.
So how'd you sleep last night, Julia?
Well, I heard a lot of hours struck off.
Yes, I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man. That great gangling thing. And there's nothing in the world as awkward as the relationship of the father and the son. It's the darndest, awkwardest.
And mothers and daughters have a picnic, let me tell you.
Oh, they'll have a lot of troubles, I suppose. That's none of our business. Everybody has a right to their own troubles.
Yes, people are meant to go through life 2 by 2. It ain't natural to be lonesome. Did you hear Rebecca start around upstairs?
Can't say that I did. Only day of the year Rebecca hasn't been managing everybody else's business. You know, I got the impression she's crying.
Lord sakes, this has got to stop. Rebecca, come and get your breakfast.
Good morning, everybody. Only 5 more hours to live.
George Gibbs, where do you think you're going?
Just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
You put on your overshoes. It's raining torrents outside. You don't go out of this house until you're prepared for it.
Now, George, listen to your mother.
You'll catch your death of cold in a week and come off the service. From tomorrow on, you can clear yourself all the way. While you're in my house, you'll live wisely. Thank you. Maybe Miss Webbs used to college at 7 in the morning. Take a cup of coffee first.
Be back in a minute. Good morning, Mother Webb.
George, you can come for a minute out in the wet, but you know I can't ask you it.
Why not?
You know as well as I do. The groom can't see his bride on the day of the wedding. Not until he sees her in church.
That's just a superstition. Morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
Mr. Webb, you don't believe in that superstition, do you?
a lot of common sense in some of those old superstitions, George.
He's right. You millions have followed it, George, and you don't want to be the first to follow it in the face of custom.
Where's Emily?
She hasn't waked up yet.
Emily's asleep?
Well, it's no wonder we were up till all hours sewing and packing, but I'll tell you what I'll do. You sit down here and have a cup of coffee with Mr. Webb, and I'll see if she won't come down and surprise you. There's some bacon on the table, but don't be long about it.
Well, George, how are you?
I'm fine. Just fine. Mr. Webb, what sense could there be in a superstition like that?
Well, you see, George, on her wedding day, a woman's head's out to be full of clothes and one thing or another. Don't you think that's it?
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
Not to be a mite nervous on her wedding day.
I wish a fella could just get married without all the walking up and down.
Every man who's ever lived has felt that way about it, George. Ain't nothing been done about it. For a while now, the women have had it all their own. All of them just standing there shoulder to shoulder, making sure the knots tied in a mighty public way.
But you believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Oh, yes. Don't misunderstand, my boy. Marriage is a wonderful thing. Wonderful thing. Don't you forget that.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Well, you see, I'd been away to college and it taken a little bit of extra time to get settled down, but Mrs. Webb wasn't much older than Emily is. Age got much to do with it. Not among the other things.
What were you going to say there, Mr. Webb?
Nothing! I wasn't going to say anything. George, I was thinking the other day of something my father used to tell me. Charlie said, Charles, start off the day by teaching a woman who's boss. As soon as you wake up, even if it don't make sense, just bark out an order. So she'll learn to obey. Oh, and if anything about her irritates you, her conversation or anything, just get up and leave the house. That'll show her. Oh, and never let a woman know how much money you have. Never.
Mr. Webb, I don't think I could.
So I took the opposite of my father's advice, George, and I've been happy ever since. And let that be a lesson to you. Never take advice on personal matters. George, are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Well, Uncle Lou's never been much interested, but I thought...
A book came into my office the other day, George, on the filing system of raising chickens. I want you to read it. I'm thinking of beginning a small way in my backyard. We got an old incubator down in the cellar.
Charles, are you talking about that old incubator again? I thought you two would be talking about other things.
Well, Marl, if you'd like to give him some reasonable advice, I'll go upstairs and leave you alone with you.
George, Emily sends you her love, but she doesn't want to lay eyes on you. Goodbye.
Myrtle! I suppose you don't know about that other superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the cave, no bride brings to see his father-in-law on the day of the wedding. Remember that.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Webb. But we're going to have to interrupt again here. You see, we want to see how this marriage began, this decision to spend a life together. I'm awfully interested in how big things like this begin. You know how it is. You're 21 or 22, and you made some decisions. Then whoosh, you're 70. You've been a lawyer for 50 years, and that gray-haired lady sitting by your side has eaten over 50,000 meals with you. How do such things begin? George and Emily are now going to demonstrate for you the scene that they had when they first knew that, as the saying goes, they were meant for one another. But before they do, I want you to try and remember what it was like when you were very young, particularly when you were first in love, when you were like a person sleepwalking, you didn't quite know the street you're in, you didn't quite hear everything that was said to you. You're just a little bit crazy. Will you remember that, please? Now, school's going to be getting out at 3 o'clock. George has just been elected president of the junior class, and seeing as it's June, that means he'll be president of the senior class all next year. And Emily has just been elected secretary and treasurer. I don't have to tell you how important that is.
Bye, Lois. Oh, Ernestine, can you come over tonight and help me do Latin? Oh, isn't that sister just the worst thing? Tell me when you have to. Goodbye, Helen, goodbye, Fred.
Emily, can I carry your books home for you?
Yeah, thank you. This is fine.
I'm awfully glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thanks.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
You've been treating me so strangely lately.
Well, since you asked, I might as well tell you right out. George. Goodbye, Mrs. Corcoran.
Oh, bye, Mrs. Corcoran. What is it?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you a lot, and I used to watch you did everything, but then you started spending all your time at baseball, and you never stopped to talk to anybody. Not even your own family did. And George, it's true, you've got awful conceited and stuck up, and all the girls say so.
They may not say this to your face, but that's what they say about you behind your back, and although I'm ashamed to hear them say it, I can't help but agree with them a little. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I can't be sorry I said it. I'm glad you said it, Emily. I guess it's easy for a fellow to have faults creep into his character.
Well, I always expect a man to be perfect. I think he should be.
I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
Well, my father is, as far as I can see your father is. No reason why you shouldn't be too.
Well, I think that it's the other way around. That boys aren't naturally good, but girls are.
Well, you might as well know right now that I'm not perfect.
It's harder for girls to be perfect, because girls are more nervous.
I'm sorry I said that, actually. Don't know what I mean to say.
Emily.
No, I can see it's not important at all.
No, Emily, would you like to grab an ice cream soda or something before you go home?
Thank you, I would.
Good afternoon, Mr. Morgan.
Good afternoon, George Gibbs, and oh, Emily Webb, whatever have you been crying about?
Oh, she just got awful scared, Mr. Morgan. She was almost hit by the hardware store wagon. Everyone says that Tom Huggins drives like a crazy man.
Will you take that sip of water, Emily? You've got to look both ways before you cross Main Street, children. It gets worse every year. Now, what do you have?
I'll strawberry phosphate.
No, Emily. Have an ice cream soda with me. 2 strawberry ice cream sodas, please.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas. Yes, sir, yes, sir. There are 125 horses in Grover's Corner this minute I'm speaking to you. The state inspector came by yesterday, and they're now shipping in these automobiles, and I say the best thing to do is just to stay at home. I remember when a dog could go out and lay in the middle of Main Street, nobody would come along the bottom. Well, here they are. Oh, Miss Slocum, how can I help you?
They're so expensive.
No, Emily, don't think of that. This is a celebration of our election. And then, do you know what else I'm celebrating, Emily?
No.
I'm celebrating because I've got a friend that tells me everything that ought to be told.
George, please don't think of that. I don't know what made me say it.
No, Emily, I'm glad you said it. But you'll see, I'm going to change. I'm going to change so quick. But, Emily, I wanted to ask you a favor.
Yes.
Emily, when I go away to college next year, do you think you could write me a letter every once in a while?
Certainly will, George. Certainly will. But it seems like being away for a while, you get out of touch with things. And maybe letters from Grover's Corners wouldn't be so interesting after all. And Grover's Corners is a very important place for the New Hampshire. I think it's a nice town.
The day wouldn't come when I won't want to know everything that's going on here. And I know that's true, Emily.
Well, I'll try to make my letters interesting.
You know, Emily, whenever I meet a farmer, I ask him if he thinks it's important to go to agriculture school, to be a good farmer.
Well, George.
And yeah, some of them even say it's a big waste of time. Like you can get the same information from the government pamphlets the government sends out.
But George, what if it's very important to go to agriculture school? Learn all about cattle judging and soils and those things. Of course I don't know.
Emily, I'm gonna make up my mind right now. I won't go. I'll tell Pa about it tonight.
My George, I don't see why I have to decide right now. It's a whole year away.
Emily, you want to know why I'm not going to agriculture school? Well, I think when you found a person that you're fond of, someone that's fond of you too and cares enough about you to tell you about your character, well, I think that's just as important as college. Even more so.
I think it's awfully important too.
And Emily, if I do make a change, would you be?
I am now. Always have been.
Well, I guess this is an important topic.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll be right back. You wait here. Mr. Morgan, I'll have to run home and grab you that money.
Why, George Gibbs, whatever do you mean?
But Mr. Morgan, please, I had reasons.
Oh. I see what's going on here, George.
Here, you can keep my gold watch till I get back.
It's all right, George. I'll trust you.
Be back in 5 minutes.
I'll trust you 10 years, George, and not a day more. Emily, have you gotten all over your shot yet?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Morgan.
Ready.
Well, now, we can get on to the wedding now. There are a lot of things to be said about a wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that go into a wedding. And you can't put them all into one, especially not one in Grover's Corner. They're awfully plain and short. In this wedding, I play the minister, so I guess it gives me the right to say a few things about it. Now, for a lot of people, the play is pretty serious. You see, some churches say that marriage is a sacrament, and while I don't like to know what that means, I can guess. It's like Mrs. Gibbs said a little while ago. People are made to go through life 2 by 2. Now, This is a good wedding, but even at a good wedding, people are so put together that there's a lot of hurt and confusion way deep down, and we thought that should be in our play too. The real hero of the scene isn't on the stage at all, and I think we all know who that is. It's like one of those European fellas said, every baby is nature's attempt at a perfect human being. Now we've seen nature pushing and striving for some time now. We all know she's interested in quantity, but I think she's interested in quality too. That's why I'm in the ministry. And don't forget about all those other witnesses too. All the ancestors watching out there. Millions of them. Oh, that was my sermon. It wasn't very long anyway.
I don't know why on earth I should be crying. I suppose there's nothing to cry about. It came over me at breakfast this morning. There was Emily, eating her breakfast as she's done for 17 years, and now she's going off to eat it in someone else's house! Oh, and then Emily, she put her head down on the table and she cried. Oh, I've got to say it, there's something downright cruel about sending our girls into marriage this way. I hope some of her girlfriends have told her a thing or two about it. It's cruel, I know, but I couldn't say anything to her about it myself. I went to a blind as a bat at my wedding. Oh, the whole world's wrong, that's what's the matter. Oh, well, there they come.
George, what's the matter? I don't want to grow old. So why is everyone pushing me so? Why, George, you wanted it? No, Ma, listen to me. No, George, you're a man now. Please, Ma, for the last time, listen. All I want to do is to be a fella.
Why, George, I'm ashamed of you. If anyone should hear you, now stop.
Where's Emily?
Why, George, you gave me such a turn.
Come on, Mom, I'm getting married today.
Catch my breath a minute.
Now, you say Thursday nights. Me and Emily are going to come over and have dinner with you guys. Mom, what are you crying for? We got to be ready for this.
Never felt so warm my whole life. George over there was so... hate him. Wish he were dead. Papa!
Emily, everything's all right.
But Papa, I don't want to get married.
You don't have to get so upset.
Why can't I just stay as I am? Let's go away.
Emily, you mustn't say such things. You're just nervous.
But Papa, don't you remember what you used to say? All the time you used to say that I was your girl. There are lots of places we can go to. I can keep house.
You're just nervous. Everybody gets nervous before their wedding. George, did you come here a minute?
But Papa.
Emily, George is the best fellow I could find for you. He's a fine fellow. George, I'm giving away my daughter. Do you think you can take care of her?
I want to, Mr. Webb. I want to. I'll try. Emily, I need you. I love you.
If you love me, help me. All I want is someone to love me.
I will, Emily. I'll try. I promise.
Do you get that? Forever and ever.
They're waiting for us, sweetie. That's very good.
You, George, take this woman, Emily, to be your lawfully wedded wife.
Perfectly lovely wedding, isn't it? Oh, I do love a good wedding. Oh, doesn't she make just a lovely bride?
And you, Emily, take this man, George, to be your lawfully
Don't know when I've been to such a nice wedding. Oh, doesn't she just look happy? I don't know what it is, but I always cry. I don't know what I do. I just love to see a young couple happy, don't you?
I do.
Oh, don't they make a lovely couple? Oh, I'm sure they're going to be happy. That's what I always say. Happiness, that's the important thing.
George, that's my son!
I've married over 200 couples in my day. And do I believe in it? I don't know. Marries and millions of them. The cottage, the go-kart, the Sunday afternoon drives in the Ford, the first rheumatism, the grandchildren, the second rheumatism, the deathbed, the reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times it's interesting. Mr. Simpson, let's get a few more chords, please. Congregational church. Oh, Mrs. Soames, who enjoyed the wedding cell. Do you remember? People just wild with grief have been coming up here a long time to bury their loved ones. And then time and sunny days and rainy days and snow. And in the end, we're all just glad we're up here in a beautiful place, coming up here ourselves when it gets over. Now, there are some things we all know, but we don't take them out and look at them very often. We all know that something is eternal, and it ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't earth, and it ain't even the stars. We all know in our bones that something is eternal, and that something has to do with human beings. While the greatest minds in history have been telling us that for the last 5,000 years, it's a shame how often we forget it. Now, you and I both know that the dead don't stay interested in us living people very long. Gradually they lose their hold of the earth, and the pleasures they had, and the ambitions they had, and the things they suffered, and the people they loved. They get weaned away from the world. That's what I call it, weaned away. And they come up here to spend that time when that earth part of them burns away, burns out. And all that time they slowly get indifferent to what's going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting for something they feel is coming. Something important and great. Aren't they waiting for that eternal part of them to leap out into the clear? Some of the things they say maybe will hurt your feelings, but that's the way it is. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, money and miser, enemy and enemy. All those terribly important things kind of grow pale around here. And what's left when memory's gone? Well, there are some live people. Here's our undertaker, Mr. Joe Stoddard, supervising the freshman 8th grade. And here's a Grover's Corners girl who left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Let me see now. Do I know you?
I'm Samantha Craig.
Gracious sakes alive, of all people. I should have known you'd be back in town for the funeral. You've been away a long time, Samantha.
Yes, I've been away over 12 years. I moved to Buffalo now with my family, Joe. But I was in the East, and I thought I'd combine things a little and come to see the old home. You look well.
Yes. Can't complain. Very sad, our journey today, Samantha.
Yes.
Yes. I always say I hate to supervise when a young person is taken. They'll be here in a few minutes now. I had to come here early today. My son's supervising at the home.
Why, this is my Aunt Julia. I'd forgotten that she, of course.
Yes, Doc Gibbs lost his wife 2-3 years ago. About this time. Today's another pretty bad blow for him, too.
That's my sister Carrie's daughter, Samantha Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable in there.
Simon.
Do they pick their own verses much, Joe?
No, not usual. Mostly the bereaved pick a verse.
Doesn't sound like Aunt Julia to me. There aren't many of us Hershey sisters left now. Let me see. I need to look at my father's and mother's.
Over there with the crates. Avenue Island.
He was a drunkard at the organist, wasn't he?
Yes, he'd seen a peck of trouble. Took his own life, you know.
Oh, did he?
Hung himself in the attic. They tried to hush it up, but of course it got around. Now he chose his own epitaph. You can see it there. It ain't a verse exactly.
It's just some notes and music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It was wrote up in the Boston papers at the time.
The grave's gonna be over there.
Yes, by her mother-in-law. I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia?
My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
God must have been awful muddy. What did she die of again, Julia?
In childbirth.
Childbirth. I almost forgot all about that.
Mom wasn't that awful. And wonderful.
Wonderful, wasn't it?
Simon, now remember.
I remember everyone's wedding. Such a lovely wedding. I remember her reading the class poem at graduation exercises. Emily was one of the smartest girls to graduate high school. Principal Wilkins told me so time after time. Oh, I visited their farm, nice little farm, just before I died. It really was lovely. Hello. Hello, Emily.
Hello, Gibbs.
Emily.
Spring. Yes. I'll be gone soon here. Just rest yourself. Seems like thousands and thousands of years.
When we asunder part, it gives us inward pain, but we shall still be joined in heart and hope to meet again.
I'll remember that's my favorite hymn. Wish I'd been gone for that one day, New Year. stop. You bought that out of the money you got us. I did. Don't you remember, Mother Hips? The legacy you left us? It's over $350. Yes, Mother. Well, there's a patent about it for drinking fountain, so it never overflows. It never goes below a certain point they have. It's just fine. Won't need the Santa George half of it, so Melody Farm. Other gifts. Life people don't understand, do they? No, dear. Not very much. Other kids, we have a 4-2, never gives us any trouble. I don't drive though. Other gifts, how long does this feeling last? How long does it? Just wait and be patient. I know. Look, they're finished. You're going. It's just like George doesn't. I realized before how much trouble and how in the dark life people are. Well, morning's light, that's all they are. Trouble. But other gifts, when you can go back into living again, I know it, I can feel it. Just a minute ago, I was thinking back on the farm. My baby was on my last plan to stay. Yes, of course you can. And go back there and live again. Why not? All I can say is, Emily, don't. But it's true, isn't it? I can go back there and live again.
Yes, some have tried, but they soon come back here.
Why?
Because you don't want to relive those experiences. You watch yourself living them, and you see what they down there never do.
Is that painful?
You see the future. You know what's going to happen.
Why? That's not the only reason why you should do it, Ellen. When you've been here longer, you'll understand that life here is to forget all that and think only of what's ahead and be ready for what's ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand. But it's all I know. It's all I have. Emily, don't. It isn't wise, really. It isn't. But it's a thing I must know for myself. I won't choose a sad day. I'll choose a happy day. I'll choose the day I first knew I loved George. No. At least choose an important day. Choose the least important day of your life. That will be important enough. And since it can't be since I was married, or since the baby's born, I can choose a birthday, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
Very well. February 11th, 1899, Tuesday. You want any particular time of day?
I want the whole day.
Or you had on with it? You remember it had been snowing for quite some time, and they had just begun to clear the roads. The sun's beginning to come up.
There's a store in the store before he changed it. And there's a livery stable.
Yes, this is 1899. This is 14 years ago.
It's the town I knew as a little girl. And there's the white picket fence that used to surround our house. Loaded. Are they inside?
Your mother will come downstairs and make breakfast in a minute.
Will she?
You remember your father had been away for some days, but had come back in the early morning train to see you.
No?
He was giving a speech at his college in Clinton, New York.
Oh, Bessie, come on.
Ted, he died.
Morning.
Morning, Nellie. You're up early. Hey, I've been rescuing a party. We're near froze to death down there in Polish Town. Got drunk and laid out on the snow drifts. Thought I was in bed when I shook him.
Look, there's Stu Crowell.
Morning, Mr. Warren. Morning, Howie.
Children, it's time to come down for breakfast.
Mama's so young. Never knew Mom was ever that young.
You can come and dress by the fire if you like, but hurry.
Mom, I'm here. All grown up. So beautiful. I can't look at everything hard enough.
Children, you're going to be late for breakfast. Come on, it's 7 o'clock. Good morning, Mr. Newsom. Oh, it's cold.
10 below by my barn, Mrs. Webb.
Thank you, Betty. Keep yourself wrapped up.
Mama, I can't find my blue hairband anywhere.
It's on the dresser there, darling. Just open your eyes. Laid it out for you special. If it were a snake, it would bite you. Yes.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yes, just got back from college back in New York State. Everything been okay around here?
Well, got a call down in Polish Town this morning to save a poor fellow dirt near froze to death.
You must get in the paper.
It wasn't too much.
Papa.
Good morning, Mother.
How did it go, Charles?
Went all right. I guess I taught him a few things. Everything been okay here?
Nothing that's happened special. Howie Newsom says it's 10 below over to his barn.
It's even colder than that back in New York State. Students' ears have fallen off. Thank Christian. Paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Coffee's ready when you want it. Oh, Charles, it's Emily's birthday. Did you remember to get her something?
Oh, I got something for her. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. She's slow enough as it is. Children, it's 7 o'clock. I don't want to call you again.
Good morning, Mama.
Well, now, dear, very happy birthday and many happy returns. There are some surprises waiting for you on the kitchen table.
Mom, you shouldn't have. I can't.
That in the blue paper is from your Aunt Carrie. And I reckon you can guess who brought over the postcard album. George Gibbs must have come over pretty early in the cold. Right nice of him.
George, I'd forgotten that.
Oh, chew that bacon good and slow. It'll help keep you warm on a cold day.
Mother, just look at me a minute so you really saw me. Mom, 14 years have gone by. Mama, I'm dead. You married George Gibbs, Mama? You're a grandmother now. Wally's dead too. His appendix burst on a camping trip to North Conway. Well, it's just terrible, bud. But just for a moment now, we're all happy. We're all together. Let's look at one another.
That in the blue paper is something I found in the attic among your grandmother's things. Since you're old enough to wear it now, I thought you'd like it.
And this is from you. Mom, you shouldn't have. It's beautiful. It's just what I want.
Well, I hoped you'd like it. Your Aunt Nora hunted all over in Concord, so I had to send all the way to Boston. Oh, your brother Wally has a gift for you. He made it in manual training class, and he's very proud of it, so make sure you make a big fuss. Oh, and your father has a surprise for you, too, but I don't know what it is myself. Here he comes.
There's my girl. There's my birthday girl.
I can't. We don't have time to look at another. So all that was going on and we never noticed? Take me back. The hill. To my grave. But first, wait, just one more look. Bye. Bye, world. Bye, Grover's Corners. Goodbye to clocks ticking and sleeping and waking up. Goodbye to food and coffee, new iron dresses and hot baths. And Mama's sunflowers. Earth, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Does anybody ever realize life as they live it? Every single minute?
No. Saints and popes, maybe. They do some.
Ready to go back. Are you happy? No, little kids. It's all they are, just fine people. Should have listened to Mr. Stinson.
Now you know. Now you know. That's what it was to be alive. Move about in a cloud of ignorance. Seven on feelings of those around you, spending and wasting time so you had a million years. Always at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. That's the world you wanted to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
Simon Stimson, that is the whole truth and you know it. Look at that star. Forget his name.
Here's one of them coming.
Other kids, it's George. It's George.
My, that's no way to behave. Look out to get home.
Other Gibbs. There's the man. White people don't understand, do they? No, dear. They don't understand.
Most of the lights are out in Grover's Corners. There are a few that are still on. Shorty Hawkins in the depot just watched the Albany train go by. Over in the library stable, some people are sitting up late and talking. It's beginning to clear up. And there are the stars doing their old crisscross journeys across the sky. You know, scientists haven't settled the matter yet, but they seem to think that there's no living beings up there. Just chalk and fire. And this star, straining away all the time to make something of itself. Strained so bad once every 16 hours, everyone settles down and gets a rest. 11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. You all get a good rest too. Good night.
So much for coming to our opening presentation of our town. We will be back here today and tomorrow, so if you enjoy the show and know anyone who would like it, please help us spread the word. It will be our final performance of the school year and sadly the final drama performance of our school. So please help us spread the word. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. All the actors will be waiting right outside the door to